Hey guys, this is my sister Brittany.
And this is my sister Tera.
And welcome back to My Sister's Nightmare,
a horror movie review channel for horror fans.
by horror fans. Just relax, Mike.
Don't fucking tell me to relax!
Okay guys, so today for our second review, we have chosen The Blair Witch Project.
One of our favorite movies to watch together. So much so that we have it inked on our bodies.
We do. We have matching sister tattoos, 2 of them technically,
Yep.
right there. And then
Our thighs, which I will put a picture in for you guys to see.
So again, this movie, very important to us. I know for me as a kid, because I saw it when it came out in 1999, so I was 9 years old, truly terrified. Like, it's one of those moments, there's a few other films out there too that did this, but just a handful that really gave me like after it ended, I didn't quite know what to do. You know what I mean?
So I didn't see this movie when it first came out because I was only 6, and I think they
Thank
drew a
God.
line there. But you had the poster in your bedroom, and I remember like sleeping in your room one night when you weren't there for some reason. I think I was told to sleep in that room, and she had it hanging like right at the end of her bed, and like the poster's Heather's face up close, like I didn't. Terrifying. It scared the shit out of me.
Yeah, it was
Yeah, it's literally this. Scary. Just the poster alone freaked
God,
me
I wish I
out.
still had that.
Fun fact, we have a little sister who's 15 now. Hi, Elena. I introduced her to this movie with my father a few Halloweens ago, and we convinced her the whole time that it was real footage. And even though she says she's, wasn't scared, I think she was a little spooked. And when I finally told her that it wasn't real, she went, "Oh, thank God." So that just shows you, like, how well this movie still holds up, that it still scares first-time watchers to this day.
Absolutely. Found footage horror genre goes, I think it's the tops. I think it's at the top of the charts. It's just really good, very spooky.
If I get nice and ripped, it still scares the hell out of me.
Oh yeah. I must say, too, little fun story. So I watched it in 99 when it came out. Like I said, I was 9 years old, horrified. I didn't find out for many years later that it was a theatrical made film.
Did you want to join, like, the groups of people that were going out in the woods looking for them?
I remember thinking it'd be fun to go and check. But, I remember the way I found out is, do you remember the VH1 specials like I Love the 80s,
Oh my God,
I love the 90s?
And every year it would be like, or every episode would be like 91, 92, 93.
Yes. So for 99, they mentioned the Blair Witch Project. And they talked about, how scary it was and how real it seemed, and talked about the marketing. And I remember sitting there watching it, dumbfounded, going, "Oh, it was all fake?" Yeah, I know.
There's probably still people out there that insist this is real, even though, like, Heather, for instance, has popped up in other things later on, like an episode of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, like...
That's fun. That's a good little fun.
Alright, now getting into the actual, like, review of the video. Do you wanna...
Yeah, so the story's about, 3 student filmmakers who are making a documentary called The Blair Witch Project, the title of the film. And they basically go into the woods, get lost, and are never heard from again until a year later
when their footage is found. And boy, was there some fucked up shit on that.
There was. The cast of this movie is Heather Donahue, Joshua Leonard, and Michael C. Williams. Um, I find it interesting that, the actors have their first name as the actual character names in the film. I'm sure it helped with a sense of realism, I'm imagining.
Oh, yeah. Written and directed by Daniel Myrick and Eduardo Sanchez. One thing that I find very interesting about this movie is that there was literally no script, and that they were given an idea of what they wanted every day from filming, but there was no script. The whole script was improv, and I think that makes it even scarier because
Absolutely.
it made it so much more real.
That's what I was going to say. Scarier for sure, but it gave it just a much more fluid sense of realism.
Yeah.
It seems like, as far as found footage movies go, even some of the better ones, you could still see acting, you could still pick up on it, and tell. But in this movie, even on a rewatch, or, as we've watched it umpteen times together, it still seems so real.
It holds up.
It does hold up very good.
Very scary. Watching it in the dark alone is still scary. I mean, it scared the heck out of you last night.
It did. I actually rewatched it last night. So I put it on, and I did fall asleep. I dozed off after about half an hour or so. But then I woke up to a scene where Heather's unbundling or untying a bundle of sticks, and she screams and throws it. That woke me up. Now, we have a question for you.
We've been debating what we think is in that sack, in that bundle of sticks, and obviously this was 1999. It's camcorder footage. It's not the best. I personally think it's teeth and a tongue. Josh's teeth and a tongue. Years ago, I had it convinced in my head it was an eyeball, but I've changed my mind over the years watching it and think it's his teeth and a tongue. What do you think?
I personally think, especially after rewatching it last night and kind of examining that scene, I think it might be a tongue as well. A tongue or like a severed, gnarly finger of some sort.
Yeah, it's pretty gross.
It is pretty gross. Very scary moment in the movie.
We really want to know what you guys think, so leave it in a comment down below, and we'll be interested to see what you say about that.
Yeah, right on. All right, guys, so getting back to the story, it starts out with Heather, who is a student filmmaker. This is kind of her project. It's her baby. Absolutely. Yeah, it just starts out with her getting ready, getting her stuff together, waiting for Josh to show up.
They get everything together, and then they go pick up somebody that they hired on to kind of like help them carry equipment and everything else through the woods, just like a helping hand. His name's Mike. He lives at home with his mom.
Bye, Mom. And there's some scenes in the beginning of the movie of them filming, like townspeople.
Yeah, talking with townspeople, filming different areas within the town that had any importance.
Yeah.
And then, it shows them like grocery shopping, getting some snacks and stuff, marshmallows, whatever. And then they start their journey into the woods.
They do. And one thing I just want to point out, while they're like around town doing their thing, filming and shopping and all that, you see Halloween decorations. So this definitely, it takes place in October, right around Halloween. Another reason why we picked this film for today, because Halloween is in just a couple days at this point.
Less than a week.
Less than a week. So yeah, then they head off into the woods, and you see them get out of the car, get all their gear on. They have a lot of gear, because I think they originally intend on being in the woods, 3 nights, I
I think 2 or 3 nights, yeah.
2 or 3 nights, not a terribly long time, but
they have like a tent and sleeping bags and cigarettes and the essentials and
all
some
the good
food.
stuff.
So they make their way into the woods and they have different areas they want to stop at where things have supposedly happened in the past because they're looking for the Blair Witch and there is lore with the Blair Witch. And so they're going to different areas where things supposedly happened way in the past and they come across the graveyard. And I think that's where things really kicked off.
They came across the graveyard that they were told about by
Mary
Brown. So yes, they talked to a townswoman, Mary Brown, before going into the woods, and she kind of tells them about, stuff and her experience. And I guess she also told them off camera about a cemetery that they find. And you're right, I think because they find the cemetery.
And it's just like, so the witch had supposedly back in the day killed 7 children.
I believe so, yeah.
And the cemetery, they think it's the cemetery. Pretty sure it's a cemetery. It's just 7 piles of rocks, kind of in a smallish area. And I believe it's Josh kicks a pile over. On accident.
On accident, because they find the cemetery and then go and set up camp, and then they go back at night to do some night filming. And that's when Josh accidentally stumbles over one of the graves.
And shit just gets really bad from there. They lose the map, which ended up being Mike kicking it into the river. They can't figure out where they are. They're really, really disoriented. They're hiking and hiking and hiking in one direction, and somehow, even though they're going straight north or straight in whatever direction according to their compass, they end up in the same spot. Like, just really bad shit's happening.
It's the same log! It's the same log. It's the same log.
So they're really losing it, and
one thing I really like too is it's a progression.
It is a progression. It starts out slow. They start off just hearing some shit in the woods at night, and they kind of bicker a little bit, thinking that, like, it just could be an animal or whatever, and at that point, I could see where they would think that. The woods are pretty noisy, realistically. There's
absolutely
animals and critters and whatever running around, but literally every night it's getting worse. Every night it's getting worse. And they end up losing Josh along the way.
And
then the next morning, Heather wakes up to the bundle of sticks outside the tent. I believe it's that night. They hear Josh yelling out in the woods.
At this point, too, there's some creepy scenes in the movie where, I don't know if you remember, but, like, Josh is gone, of course, so it's just Mike and Heather.
And that's really scary at that point. Like,
there's scenes where they're not even talking, that they're just kind of sitting there, or Mike is, like, rocking back and forth, and they're not even talking. Like, you just know, like, they're starved. Probably thirsty. Tired. Scared.
Scared shitless, and now missing one of them.
It's terrifying.
They're definitely, probably, at least, they're both at, like, mental breakdown status, for sure. If I was them, I would have lit the woods on fire all around me and just died with it or something.
For real.
Like, I wouldn't want the dark at night.
But then that night, they think they hear Josh calling.
And this is why I think it's tongue and teeth in that bundle.
Why?
Because it makes it even scarier because only Heather saw the bundle. It makes it even
true.
scarier.
She never tells Mike about the bundle.
It makes it even scarier to Heather to hear Josh wailing in the night, and that's why I think when Mike goes running off, taking after, Josh's voice, she really freaks out.
She freaks out because she knows if it is in fact a tongue, that it can't be Josh. And then they come across the old house, one of the creepiest parts, the climax of the movie.
There's the handprints all over. So there's no windows.
Dilapidated beyond.
Completely like rundown house in the
Oh,
woods.
yeah.
And there's so many questions. How this
Like
house
no
end up in
doors
the
or
woods?
windows type of things, like
There's
you
not even
said.
a driveway to that house. Like, how did this random house end up in these woods in which country? They run into the house. There's, and we can't tell because it looks like bloody handprints or something all over the walls. And they're still hearing Josh yelling. And Mike's tearing off upstairs. Heather's screaming for him to wait, running after him.
Mike!
Then Mike...
Mike! Mike!
Literally just like that.
Mike!
And then Mike goes tearing off downstairs and gets like clocked in the head or something. So then Heather goes tearing downstairs. And what does she see? Mike standing in the corner, facing away from her. And then you just see the camera fall.
Mike! 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 Ka-clunk! Cool.
And that's the end. That's it. Rest is up to our imaginations. And to me, it's just terrifying.
It's terrifying. But like I could still remember sitting in the living room that we had at the time. The big, boob tube TV. And that movie just ending. And remember having to go to bed that night and just thinking...
Were you so scared?
So scared. And for years, just, terrified. So that's why, IMDb gives this movie a 6.5, and Rotten Tomatoes gives it an 86%, which is actually higher than I was anticipating.
It was
Rotten
really
Tomatoes.
higher than I was anticipating, too, because, horror fans are very split down the middle with this movie. A lot of, a good amount of them love them, but it also, a good amount of them love it, but also a good amount of people don't like this movie.
They don't like it, or I feel like I get the vibe that some people are, over it because of, it's very well established at this point that it's not real. People pretty much know that. But I think because of the impact it had on us, I mean, I don't know how old you were when you first watched it. Do you remember?
I don't remember.
I'm sure you were still fairly young.
I mean, I've been watching it a long time. Because I remember watching Blair Witch 2, which maybe we'll cover someday. Maybe. It's a big maybe. It depends on if you guys want it or not. But I remember watching the second, what was it called? Book of Shadows? I remember watching that when I was 10. So I had to have watched this before then. I just don't remember when. Because Dad had Book of Shadows on...
And then, of course, there's the remake.
It's not even necessarily a remake. It's like what everybody's doing nowadays, where they just do a movie.
We'll get into that now. That one will most likely review.
I'm really not a fan.
More so than the sequel, Book of Shadows, but like what she said, if you guys want it, sure.
We'll do it if you guys want it. I mean, we're not against it. I'm not against reviewing any movie, but yeah, there was a lot of things about that one I didn't like either. But what would you rate this movie?
I would give it, if I was doing a 0 to 5, for me, again, I have to give it a 5. And for me, it's, nostalgia's a big one, of course. But like I've said a couple, just that feeling as a kid of when it ended and just being so stuck in the fear of, oh my God, what did I just watch?
It's very scary. Yeah, I agree. Maybe we're biased. I don't know, but I would really give this a 5 out of 5 too. It still holds up.
I mean,
I'm 29 years old, and if the timing's right, this movie will still scare the hell out of me.
I mean, like you said, it's tattooed on our bodies. I mean, it's a very, very important film, and I think, especially for us as sisters, just a film we bond over, and
we really enjoy it. And if you're a horror fan watching this and for some reason you have not seen this movie, you should watch this movie at about midnight. Very good, very scary, very effective.
Perfect timing. Perfect timing. And even though it's set in October around Halloween, it's not in your face at all. It's really only around
decorations around town.
Like, I don't even think the characters mention it being Halloween or October. Or...
You can really watch it any time of year, yeah.
So, yeah, again, it's almost like a warm, fuzzy type of movie, again, which is a weird thing to say about a horror film, but...
I mean, fellow horror fans will understand what we're saying when we say
Fellow
that.
horror fans
It's
probably
a
all
nostalgic
have
movie.
those, warm, fuzzy horror movies that you watch and just go, oh. Or, just elicit certain emotions.
Yeah, definitely. And I think this, at least for us, for sure, is one of them. I also know that, like, our dad likes it. I don't know if Elena actually liked it or not. I'll have to ask her.
We'll have to find out.
We should make Mom watch it and see how she feels about it.
Absolutely. And it's not, it's not a very long movie. An hour and a half, I'd say, maybe a little less.
They put it on tapes, right? 87 minutes.
So it's even less than an hour and a half. So it's not a very long watch, but it's got a good pace to it. It builds quite steadily, and yeah, highly recommend it. If you're a fellow horror fan, I would definitely recommend adding it to your collection.
Yeah, it's just a very, very well done movie.
Absolutely. Okay, friends, thanks for joining us on another review.
And if you enjoyed this video, like it, hit that subscribe button, leave a comment telling us what you think, and if there's anything you guys would like to see in the future, just let us know.
And until next time, sweet dreams.